I'm Brent Leary.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
We are the CRM Playaz, but this is not the CRM Playaz.
Whoa. Wait a minute.
Did the world just blow up?
Oh, we're starting a little too existential for me.
That was that was a little too. It's
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
I literally can't even wrap my head around it.
Well, it's not Thursday at 3. It is Wednesday at 2 Eastern. So it's not officially a CRM Playaz show, but we are the CRM Playaz, and we are presenting the great debate. How about that?
I mean, that's amazing, but I'm just sitting here contemplating we are and we're not the CRM Playaz. And then I'm contemplating what I actually said, which was I can't wrap my head around it. Who can wrap anybody's? What person can wrap their head around anything? You can't wrap a head around something.
Maybe the
wrap
four
your
people,
arms around it.
Maybe the
how do you
four
wrap your
people
head
that
around
we have.
Wrap your head around it like that? Maybe RAP, wrap your head. I don't know.
We're off to a swimming start.
That's right. We can ask the debate teams. Debate teams.
Anyway, this is the great debate. This is the premiere episode because we had a pilot that we didn't even know was a pilot when we did our debate about a month and a half ago.
Yeah, about that.
But it was so good. And we were just sitting back laughing, basically, because, we didn't have anything else other to do but laugh at that point because they were going in on each other. We thought it was so good. We can't just do this, willy-nilly. So we had decided we are doing the first CRM Playaz spinoff, which is the great debate.
Now, just for those of you who are too young to understand the term willy-nilly, it's not Milli Vanilli, first
or Willie Nelson.
Just to be it's not Milli Vanilli or Willie Nelson. What it means is we can't just do this kind of randomly, which is randomly would be the term you would understand if you're younger.
So are you mansplaining me? Because that's kind of...
I kind of am. Oh, no, because I'm not mansplaining it to you. I'm just telling...
No, but for me. Like,
I'm
what he meant to say.
I'm gensplaining. Yeah. I don't think any millennial ever heard that expression.
All right. So anyway, folks, yes, we have a special. It's the first time it's doing this as its own show. We've got 4 of our favorite folks in the industry. And this is kind of just the theme because we also had 4 of our favorite people in the industry to do the pilot, the unbeknownst pilot. So what we do is we bring together 4 folks that we think, we know they're very smart and they don't have any problem sharing their opinions on pretty much most anything. So we thought we would bring them together, throw some topics out at them. We have not let them know what the topics are. Matter of fact, we didn't even know what the topics are about an hour ago. So we try to keep things real and in real time. And
meaning we're way too lazy is what that really means.
Basically. But we are bringing them together. We throw out these topics. We give them 10 minutes to pretty much say whatever the hell they want to about this. We think they might have some disagreements along the way. We aren't sure. They don't typically agree on everything all the time. So that would be a first if that did happen. But, yeah.
It may, though. You never know. They're very amenable folks.
They are. Yeah, they are amenable folks. All right. So, but before we bring them on, we throw the topics out at them. Some house cleaning.
You said it again.
Damn it. I don't know why I can't get that right. It's just like a mental block. I can never get it right. Anyway, we're going to move on. We're going to press forward. Because
housekeeping.
All right. Tomorrow, we got a double header of sorts, kind of. Little break in between. But tomorrow, I'm doing a few good minutes with Francis Carden, who we knew before he got to Pega. Then he became like the VP of robotics at Pega. Then he recently left Pega to start Automation Den. But he is also known kind of as the godfather of RPA. Man, I'm always surrounded by a bunch of godfathers.
Yeah, people older than you.
Yeah, that's hard to find them. So
I'm not sure he is, though.
He might be. I don't know. But he's coming up. So tomorrow, and we're going to talk about a little bit because kind of his topic bleeds into one of our debate topics. So I'm not going to I'm not going to say exactly what we're going to talk about tomorrow, but I'm going to do a few good minutes with him tomorrow. But after that, can you believe that gold mine has been around 35 years?
It's amazing. I remember it all the way back in the 90s before I was even, what was I doing?
You were a pre-Godfather days?
No, I'm actually trying to think about what was I doing. And when at the time I saw gold mine. Oh, I think yeah, I had just gotten into the IT world. And I remember gold mine, and I remember Aberdeen Group came out with a paper that said gold mine had acquired this company called Heat, and the papers is gold mine going to be the next Siebel, which was was around then too. So I still remember that paper. It was two very different paradigms, so I didn't think that was really going to be the case. But at the same time, it was really an interesting document.
Yeah. Anyway, so the co-founder of Goldmine, who is also the founder of Nimble, which he founded about 12 years after Goldmine or something like that. Wow. I like to call him the Right Reverend, John Farrar. And if you've ever met or talked to John Farrar before, you will know why I like to call him the Right Reverend.
Wait a minute. Nimble was not 20 years ago.
I said it was like 12 years after.
After Goldmine's demise. Like after he left Goldmine once.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, so we're going to talk to him about, how far have we come since Goldmine in 1989? God, that's so long.
Now I have one announcement, which is not a great one, but at the same time is our guest for EWPK bailed on us, and we couldn't line up anyone in time. So this month's, or the April EWPK, which was actually going to be done tonight at 7, will be instead May 15th. The only reason it's then will be because Brent and I will be at ServiceNow next week doing all kinds of things, which we'll announce probably more tomorrow.
Since you brought it up.
Oh, well, there we go. I guess we'll announce it today, right? And EWPK then May 15th, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Stay tuned. Guest is being lined up right now.
All right. Quickly. Yeah, we'll be out next week.
And Talking Headless, same day, noon.
We'll be at ServiceNow next week. We'll be at Creatio No Code Days next week. And we're doing a watch party next week from ServiceNow. And that's like a mashup of a crunch up.
Yeah, it's really different. Wow. I mean, it's like, every year, Brent and I do the crossover with Disrupt TV. They come on our show, we come on their show. This is 2 network shows jointly doing a watch party. We have Rebecca Wetterman, who is one of the hosts of The Crunch, and then of course the Playaz doing a watch party together. And but it'll be not just one show, it'll be both shows. We have to work on the technology on that one right now, but we're getting there. We have an idea, but next week, watch for this. Would be both interesting just for the fact that we're doing it together, and secondly, obviously the content's going to be awesome, and some of the people on this very debate might even be there, and we might see them again. Who knows? And at the same time, we'll see if we can do this with the technology that we're going to be bringing.
Yeah. By the way, that I saw the beer and the popcorn. Do we get that actually?
Yes.
All right. I want to make sure about that. All right. That I'm looking forward to that then. That ought to be interesting. Okay. I think we're done with all the housekeeping.
You got it.
All right. So, like I said, about 6 weeks ago, we did this great debate thing. It really went great. But just to give you a taste of how it went and why we're doing what we're doing today, here's a little bit of a clip from that. And that'll tell you why and kind of what to expect. Maybe not. Here it goes.
It's a tool, Esteban.
Okay.
It's not. It's
But
not.
let me ask you a question.
It's a tool.
Could they have done? Could
I
they have done
agree
the
with
same?
Juan.
Could they have done the same with the virtual agent in 2005?
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. If they would have done a good job, they
You're
could have.
stroking something. You're stroking
because
something.
You're getting into my world now.
Esteban,
2005.
no, it's different. The architecture, absolutely not. The architecture is
Architecturally
different.
different.
It's
Very
different.
different.
It pulled
No, it's
information.
not. No, it's not.
Yes,
You got
it is.
1 minute.
Yes,
No, it's
you
not.
got vector data.
1
You
minute.
got
Read the
RAS.
fucking article. It's different.
One article versus 10 years of
Esteban, the
experience.
reality was
Seriously, I
those
spent 10 years.
assistants
Okay, I'm
back
not
then were
gonna
not
get into
capable.
on this.
You can't tell me that you can do it today.
All right,
No
guys.
one cannot tell me.
Yeah.
You
All
cannot
right,
tell me
guys.
what you can do. You cannot
I'm
tell
gonna
me what
start
you can do
cutting
today.
mics off.
You could
I'm
not
gonna
do it
start
10 years
cutting
ago.
mics
I
off.
promise you.
Let me just. All right. We thought that would be helpful. Just to give a bit of a backgrounder as to
That was
you know,
a little
why we-
more. That was probably the most contentious part of it. Just
That
to
was
be fair.
but that was the first topic, if you remember. That was
Right.
the very first topic, and that's what happened. on that.
And also debaters coming on. That gives you permission to use the F-bomb if you have to use it.
All right, I see hands going up in the air. All right, so maybe a quick introduction by the venerable Paul Greenberg for our great group of debaters today.
All right. So, I mean, this is an easy one because every single one of them, I believe, has been on the show before. First, of course, we have the effervescent and very, very smart Liz Miller, who is, of course, one of the primary analysts at Constellation Research. And look, Liz is the best way to put it is Liz knows her stuff, and she has a big personality and is a wonderful human.
I
mean,
gave her a nickname. I got a nickname.
what is it?
Liz Ninja Things Miller.
All right, there you have it.
She knows why.
All right, I think I know why too from 2 years ago, right? I think it's 2 years. Okay, we have Josh Greenbaum, who I've known for a long, long time. And just to give you a very simple idea of who Josh is, the way I actually first met him was at an SAP event, and we were sitting in a room with other analysts, and he stood up and asked a question that was so sharp and at the same time sharp edged that my eyes bugged out. I could not believe it, and I went over to him afterwards and was blown away
Why not?
by Josh. And Josh has never, ever, ever lost that sharpness at any level. Then we have Brian Sommer, who of course is not only one of the most experienced industry analysts, especially at the enterprise level that we have, but is probably maybe the premier storyteller in the entire analyst world. I mean, he's got that sort of down home kind of Texan thing going, but at the same time, just listen to the words that come out of that down home Texan thing, which are really, really super cogent, really important insights into, the movement through analysts or enterprise technology. And finally, a man I've known since almost my early days in this too, Martin Schneider, who, when I met him, was actually an analyst at 451 Group, is now the head of the analyst and research at Annuitas. Martin, he blew me away for two reasons the day I met him. And again, nothing's changed. One is his depth, his absolute depth, both not just on a sort of business strategy level, but on a technical level, which was really like mind blowing to me because I sure never have had that level. And secondly, because he was, I guess the best way to put it, he had very firm opinions. And to be honest, we talk mostly politics, which I won't get into now, but it was an amazing discussion. Found out we were very similar in outlook. And at the same time, Martin he literally just sort of naturally gave me insights that he was just sort of speaking to. He wasn't even thinking, I'm going to give him some insight. He just spoke to things that made me go, oh, wow, really? Okay. And I mean, this is the kind of people we have on this debate. These are big people, right? These are big personalities. So, and really, really knowledgeable industry, I'll call them influencers, advisors, insiders, and just smart.
All right, wow, and that's what we call a short introduction, folks.
That's yeah.
So let's bring them on. Liz Ninja Things Miller.
Effervescent Ninja Things Miller.
That's true. The cowboy, as I like to call him.
Yep, there he
Brian
is.
Sommer.
Hi,
I gotta
guys.
make up some nicknames for Josh. I don't have a nickname yet for you,
F
Josh.
you, y'all. Good to see you.
Okay, we'll go with
He
that.
just already started.
And last but certainly not least, the rocker, Martin Schneider.
There he is.
How you doing?
There he is.
All right. I don't know about the rocker anymore.
Martin, you know what you should do? If it gets really contentious, just show them your arms.
Right.
Just pull up
Not
your
because they're
sleeve.
big.
Pull up, no, just pull up your sleeve, man. That'll quiet everybody. I
That
promise.
shirt's
You
too
know,
tight.
Liz,
That will quiet
Liz,
everybody.
the ninja thing's working because you got the top knot
I
going
got
on.
the I got the
yeah.
knot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got
Yeah,
all that.
And she's in
I'm
black.
intimidated already.
All right.
Black.
First of all, thank you guys for
Okay.
doing this, for joining us, for I don't know why, but trusting us. But so here's the kind of what we outlined. We have 3 topics for you. We're gonna give 10 minutes for each topic, and we're just gonna
Varmint
state the
of
topic
topic.
and get out of the way.
Okay.
So first topic, I teased this a little bit about the show, the A Few Good Minutes with Francis Carden. This is why I'm doing this with him tomorrow. He put this post out on LinkedIn. And this guy, like I said, he's considered the godfather of RPA. He's been around in automation and intelligent automation and AI and all that kind of stuff. So when I saw this, which I'll read right now, I am now personally more convinced than ever that application developers writing code to build enterprise application software is fast coming to its end. And he had the exclamation point. He was really emphatic about it.
Mhm.
So I thought, well, this is kind of interesting. So since I'm talking to him tomorrow, maybe we could use this as the first topic for you guys. Has AI and automation, has it gotten to the point where code people that have been building enterprise applications for the last 3 decades or so, is that role gonna go away in the next year or two, you think?
Balderdash.
No, not at all.
Balderdash.
No, but with some caveats, of course. I mean, you're looking at, when you think of RPA, where we were going, think of how that influenced but did not take away the assembly line. And programmers and developers are the assembly line workers of the knowledge universe, right? And we're just evolving, right? They're getting more tools to be faster and more efficient and ideally better quality. But right now, what we're seeing from AI, that's super arguable right now. So where you look at it kind of to take almost that analogy of RPA, it definitely helps people, but it's not like there's no humans in an auto plant right now, right? There's not a single person that is responsible for getting a Tesla off the line or a Chevy or whatever, right? No, not at all.
So trying to wipe those people out, though, but that's more of a labor dispute.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, instant coffee didn't kill coffee, right? Like, I mean, back in the day when instant coffee was first developed, everyone was like, the headlines for that were, you're never going to have to grind a coffee bean again. Paper was, websites were going to kill paper. No one was ever going to print on a piece of paper ever again, throw out all the machines. And we're right back to it with the same weird wonder as if we've never seen this before. Now, to Martin's point, at the end of the day, there is a giant caveat in this, which is if you were a lazy developer and you were just cutting and pasting code, then yes, your job is likely gone because you now no longer have to hit Control-C and Control-V. Something else is going to do that for you, and I don't need you sitting there doing that anymore. Yep. But isn't the whole point of developing new business applications and filling those gaps and those holes with something that can do it in an automated way? Like, isn't that supposed to be the point of this application?
Yeah, it's kind of meta to it, right? Yeah, like the actual creation of business applications needs to look more like what a business application does, right? Which is automation and optimization, right? Ideally, again, ideally, lots of caveats. So I agree, Liz. I mean, I think it's definitely going into a situation where part of what we do gets taken out, but there are certain things like like what ideation means from like a traditional code development versus where like prompt engineered ideation means for like the next gen, it actually advances what a human can do in really interesting ways and creates, parallel versions of development and figuring out which one goes, it becomes quantum really. And that's what's really kind of cool about it. And I think it's going to enable and kind of turn humans into cyborgs rather than just kill them all, right?
Brian's getting riled up. I see
here.
Brian eye rolling.
Yeah.
I think, well, okay, Brian, you want to roll first or shall I get in there and brick that?
Okay, so I have some old chops here, and I've written systems in like 5 languages. There's a piece that we're missing here. One, yeah, we're going to have some AI tools that can not workflow kind of tools, but AI tools that can generate code. That's already out there. Some work better than others, but what's missing in all this conversation is writing applications is not just about putting something up on a little cell phone. Those are picayune little apps. I mean, the real challenges are still, how do we get the data out of the cell phone? How do we actually push it into commercial big corporate systems and the like? And there's a whole bunch of code that goes on out in this world that's not just around building a little app. So yeah, app construction, that'll get automated. A lot of basic form filling kind of stuff, that'll get automated. But the real tough stuff and the ideation about what should be in an app, that's where we need the real horsepower, because when we can combine all these new technologies, we can create some massively cool and powerful applications no one's ever seen before. And we're going to need people that have that kind of brain power.
Let me fine tune that, because I think you and I, once again, Brian, are agreeing. And I was just having this debate with our friend John Reed yesterday. The real problem with enterprise software in general is that as we move towards clean core, fit to standard, that stuff, we're genericizing most of what's coming out of the box today. And the demand, the requirement from the customer base is increasing specificity towards industry, use towards geographic, regulatory, you name it. And more that fine tuning, that really last mile is what differentiates the enterprise software environment, what provides competitive advantage. That doesn't come out of a generic code generation effort. That comes out of kind of some of the genius that I think Brian was alluding to. It's still going to be an art form to figure out how to not just do that thing that is that last mile, but to do it in such a sweet and incredible way that you're going to kick someone else's ass in the market.
But it's like a painter doesn't make their own paint, right? But like what they make is really amazing. And it's like, you talk about that kind of last mile, but like today, it's like developers need to make the paint too. And when you take these levels out of it, it's like it's like we're just pushing closer to that last mile for everybody. And that's like I said, that quantity.
I don't think we're pushing. I don't think it's.
You're going to get the integration stuff that Brian's talking to. You're going to get that last mile and vertical.
This isn't a citizen developer issue. This is not for Joe and Jane, business user. This is for real pros who understand stuff.
That's what I'm saying.
I think that's part of the problem, Josh.
No one's losing a job. They're just focusing on better stuff. More.
But I think that's part of the problem is that that's what's actually happening. I think part of the problem is that I think that, and it's not we, like, I don't mean the 6 of us, right? I think we all understand that it actually takes people to get to the brilliance, right? Like, you want to see magic, it's not just coming out of a box and like you spit on it. Like, that's not happening here. And I think that we're also not talking about just like the little apps or the little thingies, right? If we're talking about big problems, you got to bring your big guns, you got to bring all the tools, right? But I think that what's happening is when we make these big declarative statements about AI, we tend to diminish the entirety of the process. And I mean by as an industry or as vendors or in technology. We're like, oh my God, because AI could write one line of code, it's going to completely remove everyone from the process. And I think all 4 of us are ironically saying the same thing, and that, no, that's not going to happen. But what I think is going to start to happen is the laziness of folks who want to say, it's going to take me 30 days to ideate on what this possibly could mean. And it's going to cost you $10 million to come up with this business application that's going to solve all of your solutions. That's where AI is going to start to call bullshit a little bit. And you guys did say I could curse, so I'm just pulling that card. You said I could curse.
We've been waiting for this, Liz. So,
Yes, but so I think that we're right now, as the hype cycle is still a little bit frenetic, and we're all, that there are folks out there that want to say big declarative statements about what AI is or is not going to remove from a plate, or who is AI going to jettison out the door and they're going to lose their job. Those are still big statements. I don't think any of that's actually going to happen unless you were really bad at your job to begin with.
Yeah. I think Liz was really trying to get us into the CRM Playaz Jeopardy game when she went for hype cycle for 400. And
Listen, Brian, I'm as fast as a small town gossip. Okay, I still have my Texanisms list here, and I'm going to use all of them. I'm going to use
Brian.
all. Teach yourself.
I'm going to go America Online for 200.
Wow!
Circle gets the square, Brian.
Yeah. You old man, you old.
Hey, I borrowed this book from Josh. What are you talking about? Anyway.
I think it's like pricing to include the euro for how much the book costs.
You want to see artifacts, man? Check this one out.
There you go.
Are we seriously playing the "I'm older than you are" game right now?
All right, I'll
doing
get you later.
That was a good one.
I still control the time here. Right.
Oh, right. Okay. Have we wasted 10 minutes on this one yet?
Yes, you did.
Pretty much.
So let's just do a quick. All right.
I object to the exclamation mark at the end of his statement. How about I do that? How about I say that?
It should be an ellipsis at best.
There was a lot of agreement in your disagreement. I didn't even really see the disagreements, but so bottom line is everybody's unanimous saying coders don't have any worries. They're still going to have a job in the enterprise doing
unless
what
you're lazy.
Yeah, I mean, if you're.
Well, after we're done house cleaning, yeah, right.
We're done house cleaning.
All right, there it is. All right, so I think we can move on from that one. And we're about on time. All right, topic number 2. This is what topic number 2. This kind of subject here. 8 major newspapers join legal backlash against OpenAI and Microsoft. People using their data to train and do stuff with
off
it.
Of their heads.
Off of their heads. Wow, this is a rough group. All right. So given that, topic number 2 is legislation.
Oh God, Brian's leaving. Oh God, where did he go? Jettisoned.
He's getting his CompuServe account back online.
When he gets above 2,400 baud. All right. All right.
He's checking his YouTube
topic number 2
right now to see if anything's coming in.
Is legislation needed for handling training data from customers and employees? Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh,
whoever wants to step up, give an opinion, state it
I
loud.
think we're gonna I honestly think we won't need legislation because we're going to get some really good case law really soon. Yeah. Because I think those court cases are going to
precedent and legislation the same thing, right? If it becomes, advantageous to the right people, right?
So define really good. The stupid show in Congress about trying to understand how to create laws around this topic is just going to be pitiful. But some good case law will probably solve it. I don't think those clowns have a snowball's chance in hell of surviving those lawsuits. I think you can't steal copyrighted
exactly. I mean,
information and a story, and you should stop. They should stop trying to do it.
Yeah. As a former journalist, I wish more of my stuff was involved in that. So I had
recovering journalist, Martin. Recovering journalist, please.
Recovering journalist, exactly.
So I'll tell you what, guys. When I did this book recently, I had a, when you get about 2 pages into your book.
Defined recently.
Define book.
I added this in here. It said, no part of this book can be used to train artificial intelligence tools, generative artificial intelligence software, large language models, or similar tools. No permission has been or will be granted for such access. Violations of this will result in litigation and substantive damages. And I put that in.
It kind of feels like that Facebook post that everyone copies and pastes and puts on Facebook that says, Facebook does not have my permission to use any of this data as Facebook's property. Yet within the T's and C's, it says, we can use everything that you've posted in here. Like
Liz,
I think that
Liz, that argument, your argument, Liz's argument is specious because you're right. People knew what they signed up for when they went into Facebook. I personally have never, ever, ever had a Facebook account. I know Paul's still maintaining. No, Paul's still got his MySpace account going, but
on CompuServe.
My Friendster is still
the Godfather role much more seriously today.
I think, Brian, the interesting thing is, I totally understand why someone would put that on there. I think that the point being that what happened in those early heady days of quote unquote training is that the models would have actually scanned that entire paragraph that you put on the book and been like, this is a really great example of a copyright assessment. And they would serve it up to someone if they went in and said, how do I tell people they don't have permission to use my material and training data? I think part of the problem isn't you putting the limitations on the data. I think part of the problem is we turned a blind eye to a large degree over how a lot of these models were trained. And we're now having to go back and right the ship. And to pull from one of my Texasisms, wait for it now, Brian, that's like putting socks on a rooster.
Wow.
Not my most favorite Texas euphemism, but
it's true. With that bad habit, it's what we started with, building out like database and trying to get the end level data. What do? We put the Library of Congress, the entire thing of it in there because they let us, right? And we didn't think about what it was going to be used for later. So we kind of set some bad precedents in tech going down this way without really kind of thinking about any implications. And then when when the Gen AI stuff started coming in the LLMs, we kept using those same data sets because they were big, vast, easy, and readily available. And then we never thought about the copyright because it was different use cases at first. And now we've kind of come over. Now we've got to go back and retroactively think, well, what have we done? How have we screwed ourselves?
Right. Is the onus on you, Brian, to go into open? Like, should it be on you? Now, I personally don't think the onus should be on you to have to go back into the LLM and see, gee, I wonder how much of that copyright information and limitation that I wrote in there is being honored.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think that.
So you guys, I think, are totally missing some critical points. Number one, I've made some nice money catching miscreants who've lifted white papers and other publications of mine, and I've gone after their ass and collected some nice money for it. If some dumbass does steal chunks or trains stuff off my ESG book, I'm retiring. I'm going to retire with so much cash in the bank, it'll make your head spin, and no one will care about this podcast anymore. But let's go back to
why you gotta get so hurt?
Why are we catching the
Brand is horrified. I'm sorry, Brand, go on.
I don't know why we catching strays over here, Brian.
Me, damn, I'm a ninja thing, but leave
Brian.
So when we, never mind. You guys got the
Brian. Before you, we do have a question from Alan. He says, "How do you assess that your copy was used in an LLM?"
I don't have a great trick for that right now. I do for finding. I know I do have a way of figuring out when there's been theft of other kinds of intellectual property. I can find that stuff online. One thing that I have noticed is I found something eerily suspicious that it looked like it was a blatant grab, and it turned out that a really cheesy plagiarist was just going through there and just changed the number of verbs in some of my copy and ran it the way it was. But that was old. That was a stupid old school deal. It wasn't an LLM thing, but short answer is I can't tell right now. But I do want to tell you guys, there's a book you ought to read, and I'm going to be talking about this on a different podcast on Friday, a book called The Afterlife of Data by Carl Ullman.
Yep, I just came across that one too.
And that's, Liz brought up Facebook, and on a serious point here, the question is, if you die, or if Facebook lets people train up their LLMs and everything else on these tools, what happens when somebody dies? And the question, legally, it sounds like any legal protections you may or may not have had kind of go away once you pass. So, the information then lives on forever. So I I think we've got a long ways to go to really finish sorting out what's going to happen to people, particularly as they age out and leave a bunch of digital reminders out there.
That actually becomes a public domain question, which is that's a whole other story. And at a certain point, it will pass into the public domain. But the real question for that is when, right? But when there's still protection for your estate and everything else for years.
But I think to Josh's earlier point, it's where those protections come into play is through the litigation of those. So it's not necessarily going to be a regulatory body that comes with that. We've already seen some of this well before LLMs, right? Think about Carrie Fisher's face literally being in Star Wars movies after she had passed. It came to her estate's question of, were they okay with that? Were they okay with Carrie Fisher not necessarily getting paid to be an actress in a movie because AI had recreated her because she died in the middle of production? So there are a lot of these questions that are happening. They are going to be solved.
NCAA kids got their avatars in games while they were still alive for not a bloody death.
Right, and
then got the money on that.
And they got their ass kicked for it.
All right.
But I also, what I will say,
gotta go to the last question. Gotta go to the last time. Gotta go to the
last question.
Just drop the F-bomb and go on, Liz.
Fucking hell. Okay, there we go.
All right. By the way, Sahil, if anybody's using this live stream to train for like intelligence,
There's nothing here. Move on.
Don't worry, we retained Brian Sommer. We retained Brian Sommer's counsel.
That's right.
We're using Brian's thing.
Brian, read a little of your book so that we can put it into the training.
Read a catchphrase, Brian.
Texanism there, Brian. There you go.
Talk about pulling a few pickles short of a barrel. Yeah, that'll do it.
I tell you, I'm starting to feel like Rodney Dangerfield right now. I get no respect at all.
Well, now we've just trained it on Rodney Dangerfield. Damn it!
Oh wow! All right, last topic.
Okay, do it.
This is time has really flown by, but that's good. All right, last one here, and Paul. You want to read this one? I'm just going to put it up and let you kind of introduce this one.
All right, so this one, for years, a lot of us have been saying this is a world of platforms and ecosystems. And now we're starting to hear all over the place, this is a world of data and AI. Which is it? Or isn't it either? Or is it both? Or is it some combination? Or is it something else entirely? What?
It's platforms and ecosystems supported by data and AI, right? I mean,
could be. You guys,
I know there's got to be some people in there, right? I mean, aren't we supposed to be talking about people?
People's data.
I mean,
that's all.
Like success. What the heck is success, and what the heck is
Hey, that's a question coming in from Jill Vandy Zandy. All right, I haven't talked to her in so long.
Jen Vandy, where?
So much so that you called her Jill.
No, I said Jen, didn't I?
No, you said that's all right. Yes, you said Jen.
Yes. Come on now, don't be doing that to me.
Go back and listen to it.
Housekeeping.
I did. All right. Enough of this. Answer the question, damn it.
Okay. All right, I'll wade in. I'll wade in right now because I'm actually working on an article on this exact subject.
When are you not working on an article for one of the topics of this thing?
Or a book or something? God, lazy.
All right, well,
go.
So I've been real frustrated for the last, 6 months with every vendor I go to. All they talk about is their AI this, their platform that, and they all sound the same. And they all talk about the same subjects. And frankly, most of what they're showing us are incremental variations on a theme, and the amount of real, competitive differentiation that they're providing through these solutions to their end customers is pretty thin. So I think your question, Brent, not to diss the moderator of the show here, but the question's kind of it's an infantile one. It doesn't really speak to the depth of the real issue here. Okay.
I hate to see if you're really trying to put me down there, Brian.
Wait, let me defend Brent here. Hold on.
Okay.
I'm glad you're getting blamed.
There's a four-letter word in there that's 100% correct. Data is the thing. Every single project you look at, not every single, but 90% of project failures revolve around data. 90% of net new opportunities for technology innovation revolve around data. This to me is the thing that, this is soapbox I get up on and bore the shit out of everyone who has to listen to me because I keep saying it all the time. You want to actually be customer first. You actually want to be worrying about delivering quality to your quality experience. You better start with getting your data right. And okay, if you want to do those large language models, you want to do small language models, you want to do anything in the AI world, you got to have clean data. So I like the data part. I don't need any of the other stuff. That's all buzzwords.
I think strategy is some strangely missing in the sense of, we and again, maybe this infers that there's a strategy, but how many people are going into AI, going into, CDP type stuff, and really what is their strategic, mindset around it? Like, what are they actually trying to do rather than just check a box where they think they have to do it?
Their stock price up.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, what is, so I think like the strategic element of tying all those together, what do we always say at Annuitas? It's like, go to market falls apart in execution, right? And strategy is always like the common sense that's kind of missing, common sense isn't all that common. And I feel like, weaving strategy in between them is the important thing, because you'd be surprised how much it's missing in the sense of like, why are we doing, what is the outcome of, why this? And the data part is really
stock price.
Yeah, exactly. No, because
I keep saying that.
Because if you don't have a strategic idea of what you need exactly with the data, then the right attributes get maybe ignored. Maybe it's this and that, and you have really quality data, but that's lacking the actual outcomes you're trying to get. So, the data quality and data inclusive, all these things get kind of amorphous when the strategy's not there.
Now,
the funny thing about, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, your turn. Go.
Okay. Here's the bigger problem in all of this that I tend to see is when I talk to any CXO, right? Like whatever problem they're trying to solve with whatever type of hammer they're trying to use to solve it. Don't give a rat's, I'm going to use another curse word, ass or shit.
Get them all out of your system. Get them all out of your system.
All out of my system now. Okay. Yeah. They don't care. Like if you go into a CMO who's really trying to figure this out and be like, what do you want? Do you want a platform or do you want an ecosystem? Like, I just want to finally get to that stupid thing y'all are calling personalization that I've been chasing for 20 years. I still can't get to. And then someone comes in and is like, oh, it's because you didn't have the data. They're like, bullshit. I've had the data all this time and y'all keep charging me all this money to try to go fix that problem. So now what's the problem? Is AI going to come and do it? And they're learning very quickly, to Brian's point, of where everyone's only talking about the flash and the big splash of AI, that no, AI isn't going to do it either, because it always fundamentally comes back to the fact that we keep taking the old strategy that we've had all the muscle memory for the last 15 to 20 years, trying to figure out how to get that dog to hunt. That was just for you, Brian. But we're trying to get all of that done. We're taking all the old strategy, putting new technology on it, and wondering why all we get is faster old strategy. And we're like, what happened? I think part of this, and part of what a lot of, whether it's vendors, whether it's my analyst colleagues, whether it's ninjas, whoever we get into a room, I think the opportunity of looking at all four of those things, having conversations around data, having conversations around the platforms and the ecosystems that actually support that gives a new level of access and composability across that architecture and structure, so that it is available for the first topic that we were talking about, being the business applications that we can stick on top of that foundation to actually deliver these new experiences to our employees or our customers. Those become the conversations that we actually have to have before any of it starts to work. Because if you go slap AI on what we've got now, whether it's an ecosystem, a platform, or a data lake, I don't care. It's just going to give you the same old stuff. It's just going to come out a hell of a lot faster.
So I think Liz had a lot of good points there. Martin started strong, and then I think he took a bad side turn here. But
damn,
you're right about
Judgy McJudgy pants.
You know what? I need to show this. I need to show this because this is kind of a new thing, because these guys didn't even know each other up until last week at the Oracle event. And I introduced them to each other.
Poor Fawcett's just sitting there like, I don't want to.
Mike is just like trying to like.
Mike's ready to a punch. That's what it looks like.
That's the idea.
Look at the smiles. Look at the smiles, but look at the clenched fist on both of these guys. Ready to start throwing at any point. I just had to bring this up before we moved on.
First rule of Fight Club.
Never
anyway,
talk about
Martin's right.
Analyst summer camp.
Marty's right about there is a strategy piece that's missing. And because a lot of what's coming out right now are a bunch of vendors building a number of incremental bolt-on stuff. Let's add a chat bot here. Let's add some assisted contact, delivery here, blah, blah, blah. And for the life of them, these vendors cannot articulate what the afterlife is going to be like for a customer, say 2, 3, 5 years down the road when a customer's got all this stuff going in there. And they can't talk about the afterlife, about how the business of the business is actually being impacted with this new technology. They're still thinking about automating transactions when they ought to be thinking about what does management of a large entity, if you will, look like when you have all these other capabilities in place. So the wrong things are being discussed right now. And Liz is right about the memory muscle of these companies. They're so used to selling transaction processing. They haven't figured out that what they need to be selling something else, which is around a highly new enabled kind of business and management set of capabilities that haven't existed previously. They don't know what that is, to the strategy point, and they can't articulate it. That's the problem in a nutshell.
Or they don't want to. And I think this goes back to what Josh talks about a lot, right? Which is, if you're not willing to have the hard conversation, right? Well, yeah, Jack the Stock. That was not an entree to that. I was actually giving you a pathway to a different conversation, and you totally ignored the on ramp. But that's on you
No.
anyway. But anyway. I think that the reality is what he does talk about, other than the stock price, is that because the stock price is going to be important to some people, but people have to be important to people. And I think that when we don't have that discussion, when we have the discussion about AI and we don't have the discussion to what end or who's, it's pointless. We're all just looking at a new shiny remote control at this point.
Look, I have a very simple kind of Oxen's razor kind of thing when I look.
Does that have to do with stock price?
Got that wrong. Yeah, which is you take those 4 words and you ask yourself which one of those words is coming out of the mouth of the executive who wakes up 2 a.m. in the morning sweating balls because he or she's got a real problem. It's not like, oh God, I need
revenue.
some AI, or I need some platform, I need some ecosystem. But they do say, I need some data. I'm missing, I don't know something.
I got to disagree on that one.
Have the answer. Now, not data set. Are we going to have one of those yelling arguments like last time? I'm not talking about data lakes. I'm talking about information. I don't know.
The executive dashboard.
But they don't necessarily even know to ask for that. Yeah. I think that's the bigger problem is there isn't a unifying definition, right? So yes, there are people who are going to wake up and be like, oh my God, I need data. But they're still imagining a world in which the data decathlon was us being able to compile the biggest mountain of data that we were going to run up, and someone was going to get a freaking trophy.
But definitely the supply chain execs are waking up going, I need to know something about where the hell my thing is in the middle of the ocean.
That's not necessarily data. We translate that into data.
That's we use an AI, a platform, or an ecosystem. That's sort of the difference.
Absolutely.
Data is something real.
They're waking up hoping they have a job. Like a lot of times they're like, what keeps them up at night is, do I have a job? And do I have a job?
They work for a certain vendor.
Can I solve a problem? Well, yeah. I mean, hey, like, do I have a job hinges on, can I solve a problem? Can I solve a problem? Yes, to some degree is going to hinge on data and the platform through which you can get that. Absolutely. But at the end of the day, we're also then having ridiculous conversations about, is AI going to take my job? So we're having this like snake eating its own tail ridiculousness of a conversation where at the end of the day, I think it often comes down to, yes, if I can move the stock price, I stave off the axe for 30 days, and then I can actually deal with the strategy of my people. So again, maybe it does come back to stock price. Maybe Josh is right. Maybe we've been looking at this all wrong. We just focus on the a-holes that keep looking at their stock price, and we'll just go after them.
There we go.
Wow. All righty.
Wow, you just wrapped it right up there.
Yeah.
And with that,
I also appreciate how Liz kind of went.
Because they're all hacked, no cattle.
There's that Texanism there.
Brian,
you went Texanism. You went Bob Stutz with a few at the end of the days, which was nice. I like.
Yes. Okay.
Very good stuff. Oh, and then Josh is now pulling out a cowboy hat.
Josh got a hat.
No, it's not a cowboy hat.
It's some sort of a hat.
Just as soon.
That's a Berkeley co-op.
Oh no, he's getting. Oh wait, Brian's mobile again.
Oh, he's going authentic. 10-gallon hat.
There we go. That's a cowboy hat. That's a cowboy hat.
Josh, you keep kind of disappearing into your background.
Bahama beach hat.
He's climbing a rock.
Yeah, I know. That's my new secret weapon here. I don't.
That's a Bahama beach hat.
All right, guys.
What?
This has been great. I'm gonna give you each like a minute. Last statements. I don't know what you want to talk about, but just talk about it. So let's go, Paul. Who should we go with first?
Brian.
Okay, we got this on video. He's speechless.
He missed an opportunity to tell us all we were wrong again. I don't understand what's happening here.
How about this, Brian? How about this?
Brian, it's you.
If that was an infantile question, why are you writing an article about it?
Oh!
That was awesome.
Wow, he's been speechless.
All I'll say is meow, Paul. Meow. I'll have to put you in the article, and I'm sure it'll. I got to see if the Diginomica guys will let it go through. But yeah, I'll work on something. Well, bottom line, okay. You want an answer? I think Liz nailed it when she said that a lot of these customers, they don't know, they don't go into buying software thinking that I need to buy a platform or I need to buy an AI tool or anything else, and that tells you right away that the dialogue coming out of the vendors is not aligned with what buyers are looking for. They're looking for a real honest to God solution to their most crushing business problems. They don't really care what the underlying componentry is beneath it. And until we get vendors to kind of get off their high horse about yakking our ears off on these points and these technologies, we're not making any real progress. That's my bottom line.
Okay.
I'll go next.
Oh, wow.
I think my wrap is that vendors have a lot of conflicting messages per Brian's comment that sort of overlap and get in the way of each other because the community they're speaking to has itself a bunch of conflicting priorities, conflicting ways in which they absorb information and execute on it. The silos that the silos that the vendors present to the customers are replicated by their own idiot structures. And so what you end up getting is this dialogue of the deaf, as the French would call it. It's a conversation around which there is no solution because there's no single conversation taking place in no single set of listeners paying attention. Meanwhile, the problems can be ultimately expressed in these very large concepts. That's, I think, what the six of us try to do for a living. But the vendor community has created a monster that looks just like itself, or the mirror image of itself in the user community, and we have this incredible problem about what like I said, what do these words even mean? It depends on who you're talking to.
Yep.
So I think we have a whole problem of how do we reconstruct the question and the answer, and who's listening and who's responding, because that to me is the biggest issue. That's why I've built a 30-year career on that kind of mess.
Martin?
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of follow on to what Josh was saying, I think a lot about that. And I've been expanding the term go-to-market to be a little more inclusive around that. I think, you talk about those silos, you talk about, categories and things like that, which then do match that bad stovepiping and siloing that you see inside the organizations. If we actually break down and get to a shared view of what go-to-market means across like pre, during, post, and like customer lifetime, like truly, we can actually start to answer some of these questions where like AI, platform, data, all these things, they become less like blind men or women touching the elephant, and really start to get cohesive around outcomes and longer processes that span what used to be departments but are now just focus areas and jobs to be done. So I think there's a lot of that can be done with that. So I think Josh makes a really good point, and changing our perspective of what we even call this stuff. I call it much more inclusive around go-to-market rather than CRM or customer success or even marketing or whatever, sales, revenue operations. It's all go-to-market to me. So I think that's one step in the right direction. I don't know.
So in my preparation, in my research for this throwdown, clearly I looked up a bunch of Texasisms really just for Brian. And there are two that I'm going to leave you with, because I think that these are the two that when I looked at, I was like, hot damn. These are the two that describe what's happening, I think, in the market and in these conversations. The first being, just because a chicken has wings, don't mean it can fly. The second being, I can explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you. Okay, so if I look at those two Texasisms together, that really kind of does explain, especially the last question, but I think all three of them that we kind of tried to look at, right? Because I think that we can all talk in huge circles around what's happening with data, what's happening with platform, what's happening with AI, what's happening with automation, because those two conversations, AI and automation, have to be inextricably linked. If they are disconnected, then we're having the wrong conversation. But I think the problem here is that not a lot of people are understanding it, and understanding it in the context of not only their business, but how to make their business as ethically, I feel like I have to say ethically profitable for Josh's benefit, but as profitable as possible within the boundaries of that they want to do, because that's what's going to get their people paid. That's right. Like, that's where the next product comes from. Like, there is a reality of doing business that we still have to keep at the center of this, along with our customer. And I think that as we've kind of run down all of these paths around what is in the world of possible, we've kind of forgotten how to understand how possibility connects back to our business. I'm hoping that AI starts to chip away at some of the nonsense we've built on and bolted onto our processes and our operations and all of our stacks. I look at the CX stack, and there is so much nonsense and duplicative garbage that sits on top of it right now, that if AI can come in with a pickaxe and get that off of any CMO or CXO's line item, I'm pretty stoked about that. But if we don't have those conversations around strategy, if we don't have the conversation of so what, right? Okay, I'm going to bring AI in. I'm going to bring 90 chatbots in to answer all of the questions around self-service. Oh, does that suddenly change the fact that your product's garbage and that's why all of your customers are calling in really pissed off? No, it doesn't. It pisses your customers off even more that you care less about them, right? We're creating these bigger mountains that are no longer molehills. And I think we have to have those hard conversations and start chipping away at it. If that gets me to a better line item and I have more margin and profitability, oh my God, that's awesome. Let's be stoked about it. But I mean, I think, right, I think at the end of the day, we're really trying to move really fast in that. And so I'm going to leave you with the last Brianism here. We're trying to move so fast that we're trying to catch up with yesterday.
Wow.
That was good stuff, but I take a little bit of an umbrage, because I think that last Texanism about I can explain it, but I can't make you understand. I think that's more universal than Texas. I'm sorry. I think that
I think it's
somewhere else.
Yeah, we say that
true,
in the
but
Midwest,
it was in there. Okay, well then, how about
Well, I want to thank Liz for doing all that prep work. And that was much appreciated. And I think the topics that we covered today, they don't fit in the motherhood, apple pie, American way kind of category. They were in the sex, drugs, and rock and roll category.
Yes,
and
where we could curse.
And when you look at the technology, if you're looking at the latter, you're going to end up with controversy and differences of opinion. So I guess you got it, guys. Anyway.
I have no idea what you just
That was that took a turn didn't expect.
I heard apple pie at lunchtime. I'm hungry.
I don't know how.
All righty. Well, first of all, thank you all for taking time to do this. Thank you, Liz Ninja Things Miller.
Wait, I have a really big question. I just have one last question. Can I ask one last question?
Sure.
Brian, is that a Dr. Pepper in what is that? Is it Petro Cup? What are you drinking?
Well, this was from a convenience store, but yes, it's a Dr. Pepper in there.
Of course, it's a Dr.
Just checking. I was just checking. Did he go to the Petro?
Tell you what, Liz.
Pepper?
This is on my desk, and this is a rare one. This is a 100% sugar, not
sugar
corn
and prune
syrup.
Juice. You're gonna be regular tomorrow.
All right. Well, on that interesting note,
back to you, friend.
Thank you.
I don't know how to follow up that, but I have to say thank you to Liz, to Brian, to Josh, to Martin for doing this. This is fun. I think this is the great way to start the first episode, the first in the series of great debates.
The last
Hey, look, if we survived the F-bomb that was Mr. John Reed, we won. And I'll do a little pitch. I know the Cowboy is going to be on with, as we like to call him, the Rowhammer. What do you call that? Enterprise Hits and Misses monthly wrap up or something like that?
Yeah, that's the month in review. That's on Friday.
Month in review.
When is it?
Friday.
Friday, what time?
4 Eastern, I believe. But check your local stations for the right schedule.
For the end of the month show at the start of the month. That's gonna.
All right. Thank you.
It's the month in review.
Right. Yeah.
The month.
Capital
so,
T, capital A, capital E.
Okay.
I don't know what the hiring requirements at Constellation are, but okay.
Really low. We're super low. We're just really down.
Well, we continue
We
this
got
conversation in the virtual green room. Thanks to everybody checking this out. And also,
Thank you very much.
Tomorrow,
It was a pleasure.
CRM Playaz in a few good minutes. We will see you then. No mini, because this is not a CRM Playaz up, so we're legally not allowed to end with mini. So we got to come up with an intro and an outro for
Off
this.
to the house cleaning.
Yeah, we can do that. We'll talk to Chanel.
All right, we're going in the green room, folks. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.